That's it. Hi, this is Dr. Doris. Welcome to this Facebook Live seminar on emotional intelligence for long-term success, for long-term relationship success with partners and friends. So I'm happy to share with you because I have a long background of many relationships, because I have been traveling for my training. Since 33 years. I'm also a corporate trainer. For 20 years, I've come into corporates, custom design according to the needs, and enjoy wonderful success. And the wonderful success comes from because I love people and I love to help people. So we are focusing on long-term relationships today. And whether you are in one, or whether you would like to be in one, or whether you are just about to maybe open yourself for a long-term relationship, or whether the long-term relationship you are in is not working as well as you wish, all of it will be addressed by what I'm sharing with you today. So what I'm sharing with you today, I hope you see me all right. I'm just trying to adjust so that the light is better. So in all the relationships that I have experienced, some were good and some were quite challenging. In fact, I found myself experiencing what is called emotional pain, often suffering. And suffering in a way that I would think I should be careful about relationships, and I shouldn't, enter into a relationship and shouldn't, let me turn that sound off, enter into a relationship and not become intimate, so to speak, fear of intimacy. And many times I engaged in, yes, Lona, you are welcome to come for a session to Illuminations. Thank you for your comment. Just go to illuminations.ae or illuminationsworld.com and ask for Dr. Doris. 043692247 is the number. So many times they would say, make a list and find out everything that you want in a relationship. And then when I was in a relationship, they would say, make a list for everything that you think should be there in the relationship. And I found it not working. I just found those lists and those, making up criterias not working. So then I basically want to share with you about my present marriage, which started exactly 8 years ago in November. And at the beginning, we had lots of difficulties. At the beginning, we just noticed that there were so many differences, like his social area was more hospitality, restaurants, hotels, bars. My social area was always coaching and training and emotional intelligence and education. And so we thought it doesn't match. And then we had different rhythm, different daily rhythms, like the times of sleeping, the times of being awake. It was not matching. And then we had so many different activities, like he would love to watch TV. I do not enjoy to watch TV. I like to do meditations. He didn't enjoy meditations. So we went through lots of difficulties, and we saw one person that helped us in this relationship coaching, and it was Sophia, and she said, come on, let's focus on what do you have in common, because obviously you are in love with each other, so we should make this work. And she helped us with advice, and she said many things. However, it was not helping. Then finally, we both engaged in an emotional intelligence seminar in Alaska. So we were both in this emotional intelligence seminar, and in that seminar, you had to reflect on what is really important to you and for you about your relationship. And we would have to ask that to each other again and again. What is really important to you and for you about your relationship? I reflected, and I found out that physical closeness and nourishment through intimacy is really important to me. Then I found out that emotional trust and emotional security is really important to me. Then I noticed that I like my freedom and my independency, so I wrote that down on the card that we had to make. And then I said self-development and spiritual growth. So as he was reflecting on his high-level values and I was reflecting on my high-level values, then, of course, after the seminar, it was not a seminar for relationships, after the seminar we brought it together. And we were so surprised that despite all our differences and despite so many arguments that we had in that initial time, this reflecting on our values really helped us. And we were surprised that so many came together. And then I used some of my neuro-linguistic programming templates and did some more reflections. And basically it had to do with find a purpose. Find something that is above, higher, and stronger than the dispute. And see, the dispute, haggling, differences is kind of on that level. And the way how we would find out the purpose was kind of on a higher level. So as we found out about the purpose, it was something that we literally made a point to align to. So whenever it appeared like there was a difficulty, or whenever it appeared like we had some challenges, right then and there we would say, okay, what are we committed to? What is our purpose? And as soon as we did, it was helping us. It was helping us not to get lost. Hold on one moment. I have a message. Okay. And Lona, you asked for Tuesday or Thursday. You can come in Tuesday. We noticed that. And then after that, we wrote that purpose down. and we wrote a common purpose, something that we would agree on. And then we had that purpose in one we hanged up in the kitchen, and then another one we hung up in the bedroom. So we got to read it again and again, and it became a little bit like a holy prayer. What we were committed to, what was really important for us, what we really, really wanted with this relationship. So when we saw emotional security, when we saw nourishment through intimacy, when we saw, one of our values was to bring each other in a good mood, so that when the one is down, the other would be the one to lean the head on the shoulder and bring forth a cheery mood. So that, reading it every day, we are there to help each other to be cheerful, to help each other to be happy. And last but not least, we shared self-growth and spiritual development. Even within that, again, we were so different. Like, I meditate since 30 years, and I believe that meditation helps to deal with our emotions, to overcome emotions, to interrupt emotions, to be on top of emotions. And my husband, Gregory's aligned with that. However, he doesn't necessarily like to sit down and meditate the way I do. However, by both being committed to this spiritual growth, it really helped. So as you are listening to this story and finding out how after lots of argues and differences and struggles, oh my God, we really were quite arguing a lot. And we were, devastated in some way. On the 6th of November, I'm already gone. But thank you, we can make a Skype. So thank you for letting me respond to the messages. I think I'm supposed to do that. So then we also found out that it really helps us to find one thing that will always be there. Within changes, within travels, within being in different countries, within having different jobs, within sometimes not seeing each other for quite several months. There was one thing that would really always help us, and that is to be committed to grow. I love to teach the emotional intelligence for relationship workshop. When you see this marriage ring, what I always say when I teach emotional intelligence for improving relationships, or even when couples come to me for emotional intelligence within their relationship, I say, how about the commitment to grow and to learn? Because challenges come. For certain. Upset will come. I don't know any couple over working with people for 33 years who doesn't have upset and who doesn't have arguing. All couples argue. Some more, some less. So something that every relationship needs is that commitment to grow. And the commitment to look, and the commitment to change. So completing my story here with my marriage. So once that commitment was again clearly formulated between us in written, that was what for us meant being married. To be committed to learn, to be committed to grow, and to be committed to always, when needed, go to a third party and look. And going to a third party and looking could be anybody who is the third. I believe in coaching. I teach coaching. I certify in coaching. When two cannot find the aha, then there has to be either a training, a workshop, or a third person who can bring the solutions. And it doesn't always have to be the top relationship trainer or the top relationship coach. It could be just someone that both agree to. One time I remember we went to some person from the Alaskan Eskimo tribes. He was like a wise man, and we would just tell the difficulties or the problems, the emotional problems that would come up, and he would give a solution. Another time we found many answers with this wonderful lady. She was called Lou. She was an older lady, and she was so knowledgeable about how we can deal with emotions when they are triggered in relationships. So going to somebody that both agree to, and then have somebody else help with their perspective, is a very important aspect for helping relationships to deepen, helping a purpose for a relationship to grow, and helping to overcome the difficulties that we experience in relationships. Really, emotions mostly come up in the relationships that are our closest relationships. One moment. Typically with the one that we spend the most time with. So our significant other, our boyfriend, girlfriend, of course our husband or wife, would be the one that trigger emotions the most. Then family members. So mother, father, mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister, brother, whoever you would grow up most closely is the person who is able to trigger most of the emotions in you, isn't it? So that's also the best area to practice. So let's focus on one emotion that I find typically mostly coming in relationships, and that is frustration or anger, because the one person is doing something very different and the other person is doing something very different. So then resistance comes up and you get to argue with each other. That's normal. Emotional intelligence helps with many tools how to overcome those emotions. One is to clean up the area before it happens. So, for example, I know that my frustration level is much higher when I have worked for a pen, write it down. And so as you write it down, think about that when the emotion has you, instead of you having the emotion, It's when we don't feel good. It's when we load something on the other person. So one of the things you can do is take a deep breath and say stop and remove yourself. And typically it's good to do it physically. So what I often do is I literally go back, or I step back, or I shake, or I do some sort of a interrupt and change my state of mind by changing my body. And as soon as I'm able to change my state of mind and change my body, I focus on a different response. Hold on, let me read what Pragati has. I think Pragati. Farah, how will an envious person or extremely jealous person dealt with who keep hatred and jealousy closest to? Hold on, let me read this. Okay, that's a good question. Let me answer this. How would you be able to deal with a jealous, extremely jealous and hatred person? Yeah, that's a difficult question. I would like to know who that is. If that is your significant other, okay, it's your mother. Thank you for sharing. So, I don't know that we can say hatred. I prefer how can I best communicate? And one thing is for sure, maybe I use your comment, thank you for your question, to help everyone with a skill, and then I will look at the next comment. So, emotional unintelligent communication is when we argue and we say, I'm right, I think you're jealous and you should be like this, I think you are this. As soon as we put judgment on each other, as soon as we say negative things to each other, there will be resistance. And as soon as there's resistance, I like to say, it's childish to argue. It's childish to go, I'm right, you should do this, you should do this. See, nobody likes to be judged. 1. Nobody likes to be talked down to. 2. So if you think about the person as a jealous person or hate, you said hatred. So if you think about a person filled with hatred, then already as you think that, there will be resistance. Now, it doesn't mean that communication can be very, very helpful. And let me read on my mother. Okay. So whether it's the mother or whether it's the in-law, it doesn't matter. It's not someone who's committed to you in a way that they say we want to learn or we want to change. So what I previously said about what we can use for the significant other relationship or our love relationship would be a little different. rapport. So when one person, for example, complains and complains, or says negative things and says negative things, then the practice for emotional intelligent communication would be to give the same words back, to give back to the person and to play back what they have said. So you experience this, you experience this. When we say back to the person what their experience is, and when we let them have their experience, which means in emotional intelligent communication, you will use the words, so you are experiencing. Whatever the person says. It has nothing to do with I agree. And it has nothing to do with you having to agree. The practice is to give the other person the benefit of having their own emotion. So let's make an example, even if this person says, I am frustrated. So rather than you saying, stop it, or can you calm down, or do any motion that actually is an against motion, it will increase the tension, or it will increase the anger. So practice, see whether it works for you. Say, oh, you are experiencing frustration. Oh, you are experiencing anger. So by saying back the words that the other person mentions about their troublesome emotion, you begin to create what is called trust. Trust is an important quality that we all look for. And creating and maintaining trust is an important element for emotional intelligent communication. So that creating trust is one thing that I suggest for you to do at the beginning. And as you do that at the beginning, you can afterwards, of course, question, or afterwards bring forth what you would like to say. I think it is incremental in your relationships with your loved ones, with your family members, with your mother, father, or in-laws, to first create that trust and to first, in your own way, accept those emotions. And as you accept the emotion, you can then say, okay, can we talk about this? Can we sit down and speak about this in a way that we find a solution? If you have trust and you come from a curious, open place, to the highest degree, there will be a yes. To the highest degree, the other person also just looks for a way to overcome the negative emotional charge. And then you can say, may I suggest something? May I share my perception? May I share my opinion with you? And you may not agree. It is called framing. So we kind of use intelligent phrases and questions so that the other can listen and so that the other doesn't come from a charged place. So when you say, may I share my opinion with you, or may I ask for a little time from you to listen to my perception, and you get a yes, then you will get some listening. Now, of course, a very important skill is to be able to come into a calm state. Let me read. Okay. Okay, thank you, Farah. So being able to create emotions that are resourceful is just as important as overcoming negative emotions. On the 1st and 2nd of November here at Illuminations JLT Dubai is a 2-day workshop with skills from emotional intelligence where you learn many, 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 many things. So in emotional intelligence, we learn the limiting emotions, anger typically, anxiety typically, frustration, of course, stress, and the particular triggers that make those emotions come up, and then different techniques, how we can rewind them. Emotions are created inside of us, and they are created upon images that the brain makes, and they are created upon inner dialogue. We talk to ourselves. So we talk to ourselves, and typically if the emotion is negative, we actually charge ourselves up. So let's say when we experience stress, we'll say, oh my God, this is so stressful, this is so stressful. Or we look at a list of things that we have to accomplish. And then, of course, as we look at it all as if it's here now, it increases this, oh, it's so stressful, it's so stressful. And then our adrenals go up. And once our adrenals go up, it's already too late. Because as soon as there's the heightened heartbeat and the huff and the puff, it typically elicits that in the other person, which is emotional unintelligent. Emotional intelligent would be to notice, oh, I notice, and interrupt yourself. Would you practice that with me, please? So let's say you notice you are going into a frustrated response. You notice, thank you, Farah, you notice you are reacting nervous or stressed with the in-law. So take that moment and for yourself when you practice, take your right hand, pat yourself on your left shoulder and say, I noticed. And while you say, I noticed, just smile. Whether the smile is real or whether you make it, doesn't matter. So as you make a smile or even fake a smile, that smile will just make you come into a different place and it'll affect the other differently. So this is one technique. Would you please take it with you? Would it be frustration or would it be nervousness and heightened adrenals that come from nervousness like stress or any anxiety or fear? Before your brain starts to give the message for the adrenals to go higher, your heartbeat to go higher, your breathing to go higher, take a deep breath. And say, I noticed. And the moment that you notice, you have a choice to change. And the moment that you notice, at least there's choice. So next step, so the emotions that we struggle with in relationships, frustration, stress, anger, we need to interrupt them, and it will be good to not judge them. So back to what I showed earlier, instead of creating this resistance, we want to say, okay, anger is there. Okay, frustration is there. Okay, there's stress. Okay, there's sadness. When we accept emotions, the possibility to deal with the emotion resourcefully is much, much higher. So once we accept the emotion, we can easier let go of it. And now something very amazing. And this is incremental part of emotional intelligence workshops. The incremental part, let me tell you, the incremental part of emotional intelligence workshops is to prepare for wonderful emotions. So the emotions that we want to feel more need to be more clear. And I tell you, I experience it nearly every day when I give my emotional intelligence sessions or NLP sessions. People are so easy in saying all the things that they don't want anymore and that they want to remove or that they want to reduce or eliminate. And then when I ask, what is it that you want to accomplish? What is really important to you and for you about it? Typically, we have to stop. And many times, I hear the answer, oh, I don't know. I don't really know. We may not know, however, that's what we need to think about it. Like I said at the beginning of our Facebook Live show here today, to think about what you want is one thing, but then to think about what is important about the relationship. So in a moment of possible stress, in a moment of possible argue, in a moment of possible frustration, to go and think about what is important, what is the bigger picture. I value the wonderful moments in this relationship. I value having a good time. I value enjoying together. I value calmness together. I value smiling together. So when you focus on the emotions that you would like to experience, together with focusing on what is really important about this relationship, it may help you. Try. It has really helped me. Let's say I had a wonderful time with my brother-in-law 2 weeks back when I was in Germany, and we have lots of differences. Before I speak with him, I think about now, is that the best time to elaborate on the differences? Or what is really most important to me? And I remember in that instance, it was just more important to me to share commonality and to share a good mood and a more happy feeling. So focusing on that happy feeling, I chose to talk about something else. However, I came back later to that topic where we had differences. I thought a little bit about it, and then I talked about it from a different place. What is really important to you in your relationship? That you have love, that you have calmness, that you enjoy togetherness. Many people choose a relationship to have more fun, to have more happiness, to experience wonderful emotions, bliss, laughter, and enjoy those emotions more. I can tell you about my relationships. Those emotions don't come falling from the sky. From time to time, it happens that joy just comes up through circumstances or through what happens, or happiness arises. However, I'd like to share with you today, for your emotional intelligence in your relationships, that it is a practice. It is a practice. And you can learn how to practice feeling happiness more, how to practice feeling joy more, how to practice feeling bliss more. Because you can. You can learn to build those wonderful emotions. And you can learn to step into those emotions more. And you can learn that in a one-on-one session, or you can learn it in a workshop. So once you focus on which emotions you want to feel more, then you can begin to practice. I like to teach something that is called emotion yoga. Emotion yoga is just like yoga. Probably you've heard of yoga. Yoga is so popular, and yoga is, nearly in every part of town several times a day. Yoga is when we stretch the body, we stretch the muscles in a way that it creates flexibility. And I believe, and I know you agree, that we are flexing muscles and we are stretching in order to feel better. However, would you please just playfully stretch with me? Let's say you stretch your arm this way so that see, as I do this, it hurts a little bit. It's not comfortable. It's part of yoga. It's not comfortable. We stay in a position longer and longer until that comfort arises. Meanwhile, we are learning how to increase comfort with discomfort. How about that? Join me in the learnings how to increase comfort with being uncomfortable. So, stepping in and out of happiness is one of the things that I would like for you to do when you enter into this idea of emotion yoga. Then not only will we go into wonderful emotions, but you can also go into the limiting emotions. Let's say frustration. So you are here, and then all of a sudden you will step into frustration. And if you like, you can think about it like theater improv and just go into frustration. Go, I feel frustrated, and let the emotion come for maybe a minute. And of course, if it's together with others, it's supportive and it helps. And then taking a deep breath and then literally step out. So you step into frustration, you step out of frustration. And let's say, as I'm doing a little emotion yoga practice with you here, now you go Nami is watching. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Emma. So now you can say happiness. So we say happiness, and then we literally step forward. We step into I'm feeling happy. Saying to yourself, I'm feeling happy. And as you say to yourself, I'm feeling happy, and make happy moves, practice to step into happy until you feel it. And then, playfully, in emotion yoga, you again step out. And then we ask around, now what is it that somebody would like to be more on top of? Maybe somebody else would say, sadness. I have a tendency to just bring on sadness, and sometimes, mixed with a sense of guilt. And then I just feel sad, and I feel sad for a long time. So now, we in emotion yoga, we say, okay, let's step into sadness. Let's not judge sadness. Let's not immediately go, okay, we have to get rid of it. Just step into, so you would, again, step into sadness and say, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling sad. And I can bring forth any emotion at any time, because I have practiced emotion yoga for so long. I could even in this very moment start crying and start being really, really sad. And so as you let that sadness come and you consciously feel it, once you consciously feel it, in emotion yoga, we go, okay, now step out. So then we take a step, and we take a step back, and we step out of this emotion again. And of course then we bring forth another emotion. For example, laughter. Laughter is an emotion. I don't know one person in this world, or one person of all my participants, training members, and clients over the last 33 years who has laughed too much. There is not such a thing. We can all laugh more. Would you please for a moment just laugh? Now, in emotion yoga, we step into laughter and then step out. And, in theaters, just to fluff up your thinking, somebody may be paid 10,000 dirham to laugh the whole day, because in that audience, they need a laugher. So this person would know how to laugh. So let's just practice laughter, because it's good, isn't it? Yes, practice emotion yoga. Thank you, Farah, please. So practice laughing. Would you like to laugh with me? Oh. Sometimes we laugh several minutes, whatever everybody agrees to. And a good laugh is so healthy. We looked at the negative emotions, and that negative emotions have a tendency to either trigger the adrenals. Sadness often, or let's say chronic sadness, they call it depression, often is messing with the serotonin cycle. So laughter brings forth wonderful emotions. Laughter kicks the serotonin cycle in a way that we feel the emotions that are good. Yes, just laugh. Yes. Thank you for this comment. Yes, oh boy, let's laugh. And let's laugh more often. And let's have laughter be an emotional intelligence practice back to the relationships. So in relationships, when we can learn to accept our emotions more, we stop fighting them. That's what we want to stop. Of course, we want to stop arguing. We want to stop shouting with each other. And please join me in the practice to stop giving directive orders. Whenever you tell to your partner, or even as a mother to your child, or even to your in-laws, do this, do that, it will give resistance. In today's leadership trainings, everybody learns to become a coach. Everybody learns that it is about asking questions. Can we do this together? Could we please practice this together? And if you want something from your partner, if you want something in whichever relationship you are looking at, to ask, would you please? Or could you please? Or may I ask you? May I ask you to help me with this? May I ask you that we could have a calm moment, please? Or may I ask you to talk about this later? And then, of course, is it possible? Is it possible we could not talk about this now, but talk about it later? So asking curious questions that further a calm mode, or that further a positive state of mind, can often help with greater emotional intelligence. I'd like to support you to experience greater emotional intelligence in your marriage, in your relationship with your loved ones, your family members. Today's Diwali, a day where so many people in the world enjoy the power of light. Let's enjoy to bring light into relationships, and light both as of light, the light that shines, the sun that shines, or the twinkle of the stars, and lightness. Not be so serious. One of the things that makes us suffer is we get so serious and we take ourselves too serious and we take the other too serious. So back to the laughter. A good laugh is so often a wonderful solution. Remember to laugh. And think about this emotion yoga that we have just practiced, and please do it more and more and more within your inner practice with yourself and when you relate to others. Which emotion is it? First, we need to identify it. Can I interrupt it? Remember that I notice response. And then build a selection of the emotions that you want to feel more. Like a sack with a whole bunch of beautiful pebbles. Or maybe you enjoy to gather shells on the beach at the ocean. Maybe you enjoy gathering pearls or jewelry. Or you can imagine a sack with gold nuggets. Thinking about wonderful emotions furthering wonderful emotions is something that brings forth wonderful feelings in relationships. Because I believe whether it's the relationship with our grandfather, our auntie, our niece, our in-laws, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, or whether it's with our child, whether it's with our partner, friend, or loved one. Love is precious, and love is experienced by wonderfulness, by happiness, by increasing joy. I'm Dr. Doris, and I would like for you to share with me greater happiness and greater joy in your relationships. The focus shouldn't only be how can we overcome this or that. The focus can also be how can we further the wonderful emotions. Even a good cry together can be good. Consciously releasing frustration. Many techniques that you can learn. Please join us. Consciously laughing together. Doing emotion yoga together and just practice to overcome what brings us into terrible states of mind and to practice more love. All the variations of love. I believe happiness and joy belongs to love. I believe being jolly, being open-minded and flexible is part of love. And you know, every relationship is work. That's just how it is. It's work. So put in the good work. Increase your emotional intelligence. And please begin to practice feeling greater levels of happiness and greater levels of joy. And now I'm going to tell you some practical action step you can share with me. Come and see me for a free consultation at Illuminations 043 69 2247, or you can use 56613 4194 and enjoy 25 minutes of elicitation, contemplation, noticing what it is that you could do. And also, please notice that you can join us for the Emotional Intelligence Workshop, Emotional Intelligence for Happiness and Success, on Friday and Saturday, 1st and 2nd November from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Look forward to learn lots of amazing tools and to enrich your love, your long-term relationship, and all your friendships through emotional intelligence tools. Yay, Farah, come. Thank you.